Hey guys, let's take a look at the TV I picked up recently. This is an Ekco model 267/I from late 1955. It is a British television. So what is it doing in the US? I was told it came out of an Irish pub. I don't recall if it was an Irish pub in England or Ireland or an English pub in the US. I got the impression it was brought here for decor for an Irish pub. I'm pretty sure this was never converted to actually work off NTSC or anything like that. It was purely decorative. So why did I get it? Because it was something different, something unique. I don't have any foreign TVs, and I got it for 25 bucks. There are some major hurdles if I ever hope to get this thing running. Number one, the picture tube's broken. The neck has been broken off. From the research I've done online, I got the model number for the original picture tube. It was a Mazda 171, I think, something like that. I found the specs, not fully, not detailed dimensions, but it sure looks awfully similar to something like a 17 BP4 US type picture tube, including even the base apparently is the same duo decal 12-pin base with the same pin out. The one difference, and this is a common difference between European and US sets, is this is series strung 300 milliamps, whereas most US series strung sets were 600 milliamps. So for example, the standard picture tube in the US is 6.3 volts at 600 milliamps. This is 12.6 volts at 300 milliamps, which basically don't exist in the US. So what can we do? Well, I can use a separate filament transformer and put a power resistor in place of the set. Okay, assuming we can get past that, oh yeah, and there is one potential other issue, the neck diameter for the British picture tube was given in millimeters, and I converted it to inches, and it looks like the US standard neck diameter might be just slightly, like a millimeter or two bigger than what's in here, which means the yoke might not fit without a little bit of a struggle. So I have not looked inside yet. It's got a back on it. I don't even, for all I know, the chassis is gone, in which case I'm just wasting my breath right now, but I'm going to assume it's there. The cosmetic stuff, yeah, we're missing a knob or two. The plastic grill is broken. From my understanding, the set is somewhat common as far as vintage TV gets to go in England, so potentially if I went on to the UK eBay, I could find some of these parts and pay the shipping, and you know, that's if I get it working and I really like the set. You know, I might go that far. Likewise, the cabinet needs some major help. The other hurdle is, what do I power this set? Well, okay, there's two more major hurdles. One, powering the set. Because, of course, over there, they have 220, 240 volts AC versus our 120. In other words, it's double, which is why they use half the current and twice the voltage, is because they have twice the voltage at their wall outlets, so it makes sense. Everything follows from that. Or it can run off of DC. So if I get this set running, rather than trying to get a step-up transformer, I might just make a DC power supply for this. Because another potential issue is that this is for 50 hertz, and we have 60 hertz here. There may be some issues with that. I don't think so, because the power supply is dead simple on this. There's just a single diode. Half-wave rectifier right off the line, hot chassis. One side of the line goes to the chassis, other side goes through a switch to a diode. Filter caps, that's the B plus for the set. It's one advantage of having a higher line voltage is you don't need a voltage doubler or anything. You can just rectify the line voltage and you got enough for your plate voltages for your tubes. And so if I use a DC power supply, who cares what the line frequency is, because I'm running it off of DC. So that may very well be the way I go. Final hurdle, signal source. What the heck am I going to use, because this is not NTSC compatible. It's 405 lines. So it's actually lower resolution than NTSC. And I think the horizontal frequency is around 10 kilohertz. And then there's the channels too. I think this has 9 channels, maybe 7. And it also can pick up radio stations. I don't think any of those radio channels or TV frequencies are going to be in line with ours anyway, so I'm going to need an RF modulator. There have been projects in the past to make those oddball signal resolutions and frequencies and whatnot. If I can't get one of those kits, maybe it'll do with software and use the some sort of output port on a laptop or something to generate them. But that's way down the line. Right now, let's take a look and see what's inside of this thing. All right, here is the back. First off, CRT connector. Yeah, that sure looks like a standard connector to me. I think that would plug right in to something like a 12 BP4. Looks like we've got a paper cap and a couple resistors on there. And a bit of a rubber band for some reason. Wiring seems to be kind of nice. Looks like well, it is plastic insulated and it's not brittle, so that's a good thing. Alright, here's the bad thing. CRT would have been here, and this would have plugged into it, and there must have been a cover over it. That all got obliterated. I have found several photos of this set online, but they were all from the front. It's typical. It's people that collect these want to see the front, the pretty side of it. I want to fix these. I just want to see the back of it and the insides, and I couldn't find any. I did find some photos of the insides. There are certainly some other existing examples of this that have been restored. There are forums. I've already accumulated a bit of knowledge. For example, this. What the heck is spot wobble? Well, it turns out that, well, if you're watching my videos, you see me show close-ups of the image on a CRT. When the focus is adjusted sharply, you can see the scan lines when you're up close. Quite visible on a well-defined picture tube. This introduces wobble into that electron beam as it's scanning to try to blur the scan lines together to make a softer, more pleasing image and not those obvious harsh scan lines. Especially when you only have 405 lines, you can imagine it's more pronounced than when you have 525 or higher. And yes, some of those are in the blanking interval. You don't. It's more like 480 lines. I know. I'm just simplifying things, but that's what that's all about. This, I believe, is or would be, if it wasn't mangled, that would be for focusing. This kind of corkscrew arrangement here, I believe, if you crank on it one way or the other, changes a bit of the angle on. I think there might be a permanent magnet in there. Maybe it's an electromagnet for the focusing. Oh yeah. Well, thank goodness this is still here, because there was almost nothing holding it in. That's a magnet. Hopefully there's nothing. I'm just going to put that on over somewhere for safekeeping, because I'm worried that it's going to fall if I try to just leave it back in there. That would very likely have shattered if it hit the ground. Something else surprising to me is I did not know they used flat bladed type screws in Europe and England. I thought they would have all been Phillips. And this is the main reason I got this. I don't know, even if I can't get it working, just to see the differences in manufacturing techniques and design. I've seen a portion of the schematic. I've seen some photos online, and a lot of it is rather familiar. All the tube numbers are different. I'm hoping they have US equivalents. If not, I don't think any of the tubes would be difficult to source if I had them shipped from somewhere. Oh, I thought this was in 2 pieces. It's all 1 piece. There's just kind of a fold here. And you can see the controls there. They'll make picture width, vertical linearity, picture height. There's where your mains would go in. It's polarized. Okay, as soon as I say that, I see something I don't recognize. The vision interference limiter. I don't know what that is. This receiver incorporates spot wobble facilities which should be used when conditions permit. Okay. And that would be the signal input, antenna input. Alright, I think the back will come off now. Yep. Well, looks like it's all there. It's not that complicated a TV. Most of the tubes are in the tuner and the IF, not surprisingly. That is a big old ballast there. And I think, yeah, there are various jumpers. Okay, so when I say it could run off AC or DC, and the back says between 200 and 250 volts, well, you can't just plug it into anything without doing anything else. You have to go to this little matrix here and select your jumpers depending on what you want to run this off of. And that will feed into various taps and that big old power resistor and behind it there. And it is fused. It looks like the fuses are intact. Caution, chassis connected to mains. Mains is the British term for the AC line. It looks like even the high voltage cap is the same as what we use. Grounded aquadag coating. So the question comes down to what's left of the glass in there. What diameter is that? Otherwise, the high voltage and the various focusing electrode voltages, accelerating voltages, they all look compatible with tubes I can get my hands on. I think I have a 17 HP4, which is aluminized, and it might be electrostatic focus. That's what I would like to use if it's compatible, if it'll fit. Looks like that's going to be kind of a pain to see if something fits because of the way this is mounted with this. You know, this is the kind of set where the pitch tube is mounted to the cabinet, and you pull out the chassis for servicing. So to try a different pitch tube, I have to take all that stuff apart. This is a little different. Oh, that's the wobble control. I was wondering what this was all about. So I guess that's where they chose to add that. So this is a /I version. The earlier 267 might not have had that feature, and that might be why it's just sort of tacked on there. Now, I've already read a bit about this high voltage box, so I knew it's a little bit different than what we are used to here. I think there are two horizontal output tubes. I don't know if they're push-pull or in parallel, but that's what I believe those two tubes are there. And the thing up top, I think that is the high voltage rectifier tube. And yeah, I'd read that they use Perspex plastic for the mounting up top there, which is that stuff you see kind of in the middle of the screen. And often they're really warped and twisted and deteriorated and horrible looking. This looks to be in really good shape. And then underneath that is the flyback. That thing right down the middle there, that is the high voltage winding. It's a whole bunch of turns of really fine wire. We have to really, really cross our fingers that that stuff is all still good. That would be potentially pretty hard to get our hands on. Now, as for what kind of parts would be under here, it's paper caps, it's electrolytic caps, nothing. The values look to be what you'd see at 0.1, 0.01, 0.022, the standard kind of values, and the same with the resistors, so I don't see that being a challenge. And I do see one of these Hunt's capacitors right up here in front. I was reading that those are notorious for being bad and they all have to go. That's fine. I mean, I plan on replacing all the caps anyways. Let's see. There's a tube that fell out. Mazda. So, yeah, all the picture tube and probably all the tubes in here would be Mazda brand. Made in England. So it's a 6F19. So I need to cross-reference these. If I'm lucky, these will all cross-ref to an American equivalent. Like a 12AX7 or who knows. Who knows. And let's see. Oh yeah, we can't see it from under here. Alright, so that big thing up front is probably a selenium rectifier. Or it could be a ballast resistor. But I know there was one big rectifier in here for the B+, and that's probably what that is. And it's a bunch of resistors and capacitors. Listen, they look a little different. Those pale, kind of white-bodied things, those are resistors. And I'm guessing these things with plastic around them are caps. And that's probably a coil, almost looks like a relay. Wiring. It's all plastic, so seems to be in pretty good shape. Up front, there's a speaker. Looks like just some minor tearing in the cone. And I don't know what that is. Output transformer, maybe? The speaker. It's tiny, but it's possible. Well, that's all good. I'm going to take a bunch of reference photos, post them online. I might have to join a British forum to get more info. I see I was mistaken. The high voltage connector is different. It's sort of a knob that sticks out the side. That's not a big deal. I can retrofit that easily enough. Now, something else I need to do is locate some service info. I heard it can be a little sketchy, or that there isn't any good service info available for this, but I've seen snippets of schematics, so I'm pretty sure there is a complete schematic out there. And I think I found a guy online who is selling it for a few pounds. I'm confused by this input, by the lining. It looks like this whole thing's kind of coated with duct tape, but I'm sure that's not what it is. I think this has like metallic coating all around the inside. I don't know if that forms an internal antenna or if that's for shielding, but it looks like the entire thing is sort of wrapped in aluminum foil. Interesting. Not the bottom though, just the top section. Or maybe it's maybe it's not to shield this from noise, it's to shield this from radiating noise. Seems more likely. Let's see, can we read this label? Remove side escutcheon screws, something. Oh, I think they're talking about the controls on the side down there, that thing. Well, this will certainly be something different. One nice thing is it's actually pretty small. And the cabinet itself is fairly small and lightweight because it's just thin plywood. But that chassis is actually pretty tiny. So easy enough to pull out and to work on. Yeah, it's really the stuff up top that has me a little puzzled as to how I can work around that. Well, alright, so steps. Try to find some service info because I want to know what, say, the resistance reading should be on the flyback windings and such. And often you'll see me just dive into a project. That's because I usually work on stuff that I can easily get replacement parts for. This is a bit of a departure from that. So for this, I do want to check the continuity on the vertical output transformer and the flyback and the yoke and so on before I really want to invest any time and money into this. So I track down service info, or pull the chassis, and then start checking stuff. Do that. In a future segment when I secure the info I need. But for now, I think that's going to wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed this quick triage look at a Ekco Vision Type 267-I receiver from late 1955. From the info I saw, the early version, the 267, came out in early 55, and the /I came out in late 55. Thanks for watching.